I want to talk a little bit about crashing in general. Like recently, between Hardline Tasmania and Natural Selection, there's been a bit of crashing going on and some significant injuries for a number of riders from both of those events, which prompted Miranda Miller to write an article for Pink Bike recently that suggests we need to kind of change the way we talk about injuries a bit, and athletes should be more open about the severity and the kind of the challenges involved with it, rather than just, you know, toughing it out and saying they're fine, which I think, you know, you've done a really good job of over the last few months via your channels. I mean, you were at Hardline and Natural Selection, I think. What's your take on this, and do you think things are changing a little bit in the athlete world?
Yeah, I mean, I think it is. Having just done it is very easy to have an injury and just pull back and not want to share, not want to be involved. Just, it feels very personal, and you don't. And it also feels like when you do talk about it, that it makes you feel self-conscious, and it also makes you feel like, I don't know, like weak, or like you're going to get judged, or people aren't going to, they're going to be like, oh, like she'll be fine. Like, what's she complaining? Like, well, it's not that big a deal, you know? Like even mine, I still sometimes, like, I'm like, oh, why do I even write this stuff? Like, you're fine. Like, you didn't fucking do that much damage. Like, you're still walking. Like, you like rationalize it with yourself that it's not that bad, that you don't need to be talking about it, I think. I think that's kind of a lie. A lot of people don't, because most of us rationalize the injury very quickly to being not that bad, because there is always worse cases. So you're like, oh, I don't want to come across as like, I've just survived this massive thing. So I think that maybe is a big part of it. At least that's kind of how I felt. I felt like I was making a big deal of things, honestly, the whole time. So maybe maybe some other people feel like that too. Yeah, the last 2 months have been rough, and I don't think that means anything in terms of the sport. I think sometimes you have months where there is a lot of crashes, and it just happens. And I guarantee you that none of them were out there for anything other than themselves. I think that is like kind of one of the things I saw in Pink Bike a lot, is people saying like the pressures of sponsors, the pressures of money. Money is absolutely, I 100% can't imagine anyone that I know personally doing those for money. I wouldn't hit a jump that I didn't want to hit for money. There's no way. Like, that doesn't matter. Like, yeah, it's a lot at the end of the day and you'd be stoked, but no one's doing it for money. I mean, it's mountain biking, it's not F1. But yeah, I think talking about ways to discuss it, for sure, I think that could change in the sport, and I think would be a really important thing. I felt like the main driver for me talking about it more was that every time I did interact with someone who had a severe injury, like with their neck or things like that, it gave me a little bit more hope, or like seeing someone riding again being like, yeah, I hurt my neck, or I broke my neck a few years back. Like that helps your brain sort of process that you will get there. When you don't see it, when you don't hear or you don't talk about it, like your brain comes up with all the worst possibilities, or that it's this crazy task. But then you see, you know, if you do talk about it, you talk to people that have done it, and you're like, okay, people have done it. Like it makes it more realistic. So I think that was why I kind of was like, okay, maybe I will talk about it a little bit, because maybe someone takes a little bit of value from it at some point. Or yeah, I think hearing other stories when you're going through it is really helpful. It makes it real. It doesn't, it like takes it from being inside your head to like in front of you. Like, this person did the same thing, or they went through a massive injury. And look, they're riding right now. They're doing the same stuff they were doing. Like, I think that's maybe the thing that could potentially be helpful. So yeah.
Yeah. Do you think it's the responsibility is on the athletes to talk about it more? Or do you think there's also a bit of a responsibility on like the industry and the brands and maybe even the events to like encourage more conversation around that, you know, for brands to be able to say like, or has, like, we want to help you share this story. Like, you've been through this. We think it's important that other people hear it. Do you think there's a responsibility on that side as well as with the athletes to kind of, just be more open on what it's like and how significant some of these things can be?
That's a hard one. Like, it is so personal when it is a really bad one. Like, it is not something that I think I would ask anyone if they didn't want to. I think that's why it's not talked about as much. I think it should be, like, definitely encouraged, and I think there should be more steps in the process of the events and things like that, and having more concussion protocols and things like that, like, on site, and more support in that sort of area, and maybe like post the event support, like, like, it's I sort of, sometimes it's like the event doesn't feel responsible once you leave, but it's like, okay, well, they've hurt themselves at your event, maybe that is partially your responsibility to follow up on that. I think that is something that maybe would be good. But in terms of sharing, I can't say that is something that I would expect of anyone. I think it's good and it's great, and I think it should be respected, and more people should for sure do it if they feel like it might give them some value. I think it helped me a little bit for sure. But it is, everyone is different, and but I think the sport definitely, when you're injured, definitely leans to, I'm not going to talk about it. I'm not going to post about it. I'm going to just wait until I'm back, and then I can post back to what I was posting before,
Yeah. What is the prognosis for you then at this point in time? Like, it sounds like you're in a good spot and making some good progress over there at the APC. Like, how are you looking at, like, a return to riding and doing the stuff you really want to be doing?
Yeah. So we had scans like 2 weeks ago, which were really positive. Like, the plates and screws and everything are all in place, and there is like a fusion starting to happen between the 3 vertebrae with the bones, which is kind of crazy, because they're almost like they said, like, it is continuing, like it just will be continuous almost, like getting stronger and stronger and stronger, and like that, like the block now that is there, I'm saying it's like tiny, will technically be stronger, like that area will be stronger, but the rest of your spine is like not going to move the same again. So when you crash, like, you don't know what the rest of your spine is going to do. Like, that was a big one. Like, I kind of asked, I was like, so if I go back, it'd be normal, like I'll have the same risk as everyone else. And at first they were like, no, but then they were like, after, like, I talked to the surgeon, he was like, I can't tell you, I can't give you a percentage, which was like what I was hoping for. Like, but he was like, I can't tell you that it's going to be the same. I can't tell you that it's going to be worse. I can't tell you it's going to be better, which was really hard for me to hear, because I wanted a number. I wanted to be like, I want to go back to the same. But then again, through talking to people and things like that, I came to the conclusion that, like, the risk is never the same. Like, every time you drop in is a different risk. Us as like female athletes, like, we take more risk. We don't have the same muscle density or the same testosterone, things like that. Like, when we crash, we are more likely to get injured, like things like that. Like, you drop in, you're more tired one day, there's a higher percentage that you'll crash. Like, you can't, it doesn't matter. Like, sometimes you're going to have a higher risk than other times. Like, so I guess it was kind of, that has helped me a lot with, like, the decision to come back, was like kind of thinking about it like that, and like everything has a risk, and like you decide whether, like you're driving a car, like if you really thought about it, if that risk was enough, you wouldn't drive a car, but you forget about it because, like, you need to as a human. Like, if you're scared of everything, you wouldn't do anything. But and that's like action sports athletes, you do build up that sort of fear tolerance, and when you're injured, it feels very real. And it takes a little bit to get back to that point. And I think that was my biggest thing, was deciding if I could get back to that point. And I feel like I have, and I think I can. So that was kind of the main thing for me the last sort of 3 months. But for going forward, like they want the full 6 months post surgery before I can crash again. Like that is basically like I cannot crash right now. It is not in a position where I can do that. So we're hoping like early May is the dream, obviously, and I will go back into it as hard as I can. Like I would love to compete in Joyride and Rampage and things like that this year. I don't know. Like, I don't know whether I'm going to get back on the bike and it's like this is good, we're good to go. Like, I'm going to send it. Or if it's going to be like, no, this is going to take a long time to be where I was. Like, I don't know. But setting those goals still and being motivated by things like Joyride and Rampage and pushing for those, like right now, that helps me. Like, I can't not have those goals, even if they're unrealistic. But yeah, we really don't know. But I'm very excited for May, for sure.